economy trajectories in post-colonial India. Now you will be worried that it's an afternoon session, and if I start speaking on the theoretical aspect of this, I am damn sure that I will be listening to my own lecture rather than you listening to my lecture. So I hope and pray that to make this session more lively and engaging, let me try and start my discussion now. So what I said is state, market, and society, political economy trajectories. The moment I say state, market, and society, it is nothing but political economy. Because, see, with regard to economy or the management of economy can happen in two ways. One is state regulated economy. Another one is state facilitating economy. In socialist states, which India was in 1950s or till 1990s, it was a state regulated economy. But after 90s, after coming in of P.V. Narasimha Rao, Indian state became more facilitating state for the market. So these are the two roles which we consider mainly when it comes to political economy. Either state regulates the economy or state facilitates the economy. In both the ways, it will have an impact on the society. That is what we call political economy. So today what we will do is, we'll try to see how economy, especially economy and technology, are impacting the subject of political science or the politics as such. Let me start with the international level, then I will come to the Indian context. See, what we teach political science in the classroom today, it took birth with the modernism. See, in the end of 18th century, there was industrial revolution in European countries. With the ushering in of industrial revolution, it led to modernization. The modernization, the process of modernization led to something called scientific thinking, scientific reasoning. This is the place where science, social science, all these subjects got originated. So our subjects, what we are teaching in the classroom, it is almost a history of 200 years. So we need to see how the process of modernization from an economic perspective had impacted the political science or the study of politics. Let me discuss this in three stages. I'm talking at the global level. I'm not talking at the Indian context now. So at the hello? Is there any problem?
No, sir.
No, okay. So I'm talking at the global level. Let me start from the start of industrial revolution, that might be in the end of 18th century and the 19th century, to 1929. This was the period, what we call in our classroom lecture, the classical liberalism, which got originated with the father of economics, Adam Smith, who wrote Wealth of Nation. In that, he argued that market should be given complete freedom. There should not be any intervention on the part of the state inside the mechanism of the market, because if there are any problems, market will handle itself. In Kannada, they say, Kanada Kaigalu ಮಾರುಕಟ್ಟೆಯನ್ನು ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತವೆ. So he argued that market can function efficiently. There is no need of state intervention. So if you see the study of politics, or the books being written, articles being written in the European context in the 19th and the earlier part of 20th century, it concentrates around this complete freedom to the market, state acting like a facilitator. So economy had an impact on the subject of politics. Then we come to the second stage. Second stage starts from 1929 to almost 1970s. See, in 1929, what happened was there was a great economic depression in America. When the economic depression happened, people started seriously thinking, what is the reason? Because they gave complete freedom to the market. They thought that if the market is given freedom, there will not be any problem. But it has led to a major economic disaster. Then economist Thomas Keynes, he said that, see, you gave complete freedom to the market. That is the problem because of which the state is facing an economic problem. Because during that time, there are two diseases which attack the market. One is inflation, another one is deflation. Deflation means in economics that the circulation of money in the hands of the people will decrease. So the purchasing power of the people decreases. When the purchasing power of the people decreases, the production also decreases. So the economy gets collapsed. Another disease is inflation. When there is too much of circulation of money in the hands of the people, basic goods, actually the food items, service items, what we use more, the prices of these goods starts increasing. Then, like if there is a pen, for example, its worth is 10 rupees. But when there is high inflation, even though the pen is worth 10 rupees, they will sell it for 20, 25 rupees. So artificial price increase is being created. So when you create artificial increase of prices, it becomes very difficult for the common people to survive. And it won't sustain for a long time because this artificial increase and the economic benefit you have created, it will collapse. The moment it collapses or it creates economic strain on the common people, economy starts crumbling. So these are the two diseases which an economy gets. In America, there was a deflation. There was no money circulating among the people. So what needs to be done? Then they thought, Keynes gave them the suggestion that create employment opportunities. Give some work to the people. Popularly, it is known as dig a pot and close the pot. That means give them some work or the other work, pay them money. So once you pay the money to common people, then they will start purchasing the basic needs. They will start investing on the basic needs. So the production process starts. Once the production process starts, slowly the economy will recover. This was the basic idea. So America was like preparing itself to go with this kind of economy. Then there was a man who was sleeping. He thought that he wanted to take revenge for the Treaty of Versailles, which took place in 1919. So he attacked Rhineland. Later on, he attacked France, attacked Britain. Then even he attacked the erstwhile USSR. That was Hitler. So when the Second World War started, see, this economic depression started in 1929. They wanted to recover. Before America could recover, Second World War started. So in the Second World War, what happened was the basic infrastructure which existed in the European nations got almost destroyed. Market collapsed. Private investment was in shambles. People's capacity to purchase, the economic capacity of the people also got down. They were not in a healthy state of economy. So in 1945, on April 13th, Hitler committed suicide. Then after that, there was a bombing of Nagasaki, Hiroshima on August 6th and 9th. On August 15th, actually, the Japanese army surrendered, and later the Second World War ended. Now, the European economy had three major problems. First problem is the basic infrastructure, which got destroyed. So they need to rebuild the infrastructure, like roads, railways, all these things. So they need to rebuild it. Second thing is collapse of the private sector. Because if the market is in healthy condition, private sector can make profit and it can sustain. Now the market has collapsed. So the private sector does not have huge fund to invest. If they invest also, there is no assurity of getting profit back. Third problem was the economic capacity of the people was in terrible condition. Now who has to take the responsibility? How you need to rebuild the economy? Then the answer was simple, that the state needs to rebuild the economy. So state has to play an active role. And what state has to need to do? State has to build the infrastructure. State has to create employment. State has to rebuild the economy. State needs to give people money through welfare programs, in not direct money, even also in terms of kind also, they can give it people through welfare programs. So here the welfare state concept started. After the World War, when they wanted to reconstruct the economy, they started with this welfare state concept, where they started giving benefits to the people so that people will get economically empowered. This was the second stage. This continued up to 1970s. In 1970 and afterwards, this is what I call the third phase. The second phase is called as modern liberalism. The first phase is called as classical liberalism. Third stage, what I'm going to discuss, is called as neoliberalism. Here what happened, especially in UK and America. In UK, Prime Minister was Margaret Thatcher. She was the Prime Minister in UK. And in America, it was Ronald Reagan. They started having problem with this welfare model of state. Because in welfare model of state, what happens is money will be invested by government in various welfare schemes, but there is no return. People from Karnataka can relate this with examples like Annabhagya, Kshirabhagya, what we do. These are the welfare programs through which government distributes money to the people, or through kind it distributes it to the people, but there is no return. No money comes back in the form of tax. Then what happens? It will create a strain on the treasury. So England and America started feeling this strain on the treasury. So they thought that we need to solve this problem. Then Margaret Thatcher, she thought that there are some basic functions. What are those basic functions? Basic functions like defense, foreign affairs, finance. These are all the basic functions which state needs to do. All other functions like health sector, education sector, fertilizer sector, there are many other sectors which the state was managing needs to be left to the private sector. So that let them make investment and earn profit. Here, the concept of globalization, privatization, liberalization started. They started opening up their economy. They started going for privatization. Then we had concepts like PPP, private public partnerships. So here again, there was a change in the society. Now, if you go carefully read political science books or books on politics in the European context, you will see that the first phase of liberalism which happened, it has an impact on the subject matter of political science. The second phase, what we are seeing, the welfare state concept, what I was talking about, if you see those articles, books written during that time, welfare economy has an impact. Now, after 70s and 80s, if you read the political science books or books on politics, you will see the influence of neoliberal economy. Now, you might say that, sir, some people have criticized it. I am saying whether you support it, criticize it, whether you accept it, whether you don't accept it, that means the incident has an influence on what you have done. See, neoliberalism, if you are rejecting it, that means you are writing about neoliberalism only. If you are supporting neoliberalism, that means you are concentrating on neoliberalism only. So whether you reject the idea or accept the idea has influenced over you. So the economic aspect of the society has influenced on the political science subject matter. Now, let us come to the Indian context. I hope I am clear. Am I clear?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Now I will come to the Indian context. In Indian context, when India got independence in 1947, we went for socialist model. That was Fabian socialism. In Fabian socialism, what happens is state owns all the resources, whether it is economic, like factories, dams, all the economic resources who are available in the country will be owned by the state, and it will be distributed by the state equally among the population. This is the basic nuance of Fabian socialism. But if you ask me whether Nehru followed only the Fabian socialism, no. Nehruji went for even mixed economy model, where he thought the capitalist model and the communist model or the socialist model, which were existing during the time of independence, can be clubbed together and brought in the Indian context. So it was a mixed economy model with 5-year planning. It was implemented in India. So basically what happened was, one thing, there are two things important. One thing was Nehruji wanted to distribute the resources equally among the unequal society, because the economic condition of India was pathetic during the time of when Nehru got into power. So he wanted to distribute equally the resources in an unequal society. That was the first thing. Second thing was, being a freedom fighter for almost 3-4 decades, he thought that if you liberalize the economy, if you go for foreign direct investment or privatization, the European countries which ruled us politically can use this backdoor and come back to India and invest here and may control us economically. For hundreds of years, they controlled us politically. They gave us independence now. Now they might use this economic route if you privatize and come back and rule us indirectly through the means of economy. That's why he thought socialist economy is the best. And he adapted this mixed economy model. Then it was the period of Srimati Indira Gandhi. She continued with this socialist economy. She nationalized the banks. She introduced 20-point program, Garibi Hatao program. So it continued till Rajiv Gandhi became Prime Minister of this country. Rajiv Gandhi is the first person who actually laid the foundation for globalization, privatization, and liberalization of India. He introduced modern technology. He wanted to liberalize the economy, but he could not do it. Later, there were coalition governments of VP Singh and Chandrasekhar. During the time of Chandrasekhar, we actually sold gold to the UK bank, got money, and purchased oil from the Middle East countries. In 1991, when P.V. Narasimha Rao became Prime Minister, he actually received a letter from his own advisor that the country is going for a bankruptcy in another 14 days. I'll explain that story in the next session. So it was a pathetic condition. So P.V. Narasimha Rao was forced to go for globalization, privatization, and liberalization. So India adopted capitalist economy during the period of P.V. Narasimha Rao. So if being political scientists, if you read India from 1947 to 1990, and we read India after 1990, it's a different story altogether. The way state regulated the economy, earlier version was state regulated the economy. Second version is state facilitating the economy. I'm not saying that there is complete freedom to the market, but by and large, state has become a facilitator to the market. State has liberalized many of the rules and regulations which were existing before 1990. So, state regulated economy has an impact on the society. State facilitating economy has an impact on the society. But these two societies are entirely different. Being political scientists, this is a completely new set of societies. We see, we read, and we investigate. After saying all this, now let me get into something which is very important. What is that? When I talk about economy, technology is also important. Technology and economy go in hand. Now, in the next another 20 or 30 minutes, what I'm going to say is that how technology is going to change the world altogether or Indian society, and what are the challenges being political scientists we are going to face. Can we teach the same subject? Can we learn the political science as we learned earlier? or we need to change is the question which I am going to address in another 20 to 30 minutes. So let us put this discussion as future of political science. So here, two technologies, there are three technologies, but let me argue about only two technologies which are going to have a huge impact on the society and the economy. When it has an impact on the society and economy, naturally it will have impact on the politics of this country. What are those two technologies? One is artificial intelligence and another one is bioinformatics. And there is something called supercomputation also, but we can include it in artificial intelligence. Now the question is, what is artificial intelligence? What is bioinformatics? Let me give a layman's explanation to what artificial intelligence means, because I am not an expert on artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence basically means a computer or a robot which does the activities which a human being does. For example, speech recognition, decision making, visual perceptions. To give you an example, see, when you sit in a car and you wanted to go somewhere, suddenly you will switch on Google Maps and you will put the destination. Google Map will show you in which direction you need to drive. That is artificial intelligence. When you are typing a message, below in the scroll, if you have typed, for example, if you have typed DEM, down it will show democracy. If you touch it, it will type democracy. That means it is artificial intelligence. So what works which a human being does is being done by robots or through computers, through artificial intelligence. Then what is bioinformatics? See, artificial intelligence happens outside the human body. We control the artificial intelligence. Bioinformatics, what happens is it happens inside the human body. What is that? To make it very, very simple and explain, as you are in the mobile, you have a card, a small card. Like that only, if I insert a small card in my hand, get it operated and put that card. So next time I go to a doctor, for example, with a particular disease, and I go and say that I have a disease. If he connects it to the computer or if he connects it with a device, it will specifically tell the doctor what is the disease. Even it can tell you, for example, we all eat chapatis or parotas. We want it to be more fried so that the black part which comes on chapatis or parotas, most of the people enjoy. They say that fry it more. Actually, so whatever you eat, cancer will come. But here they are cancerogenics. That black part is a cancerogenic part. See, if I eat chapati or parota and go to a doctor, but the machine will tell me that in another 5 years, I am going to get a cancer. Another 7 years, there is a possibility of a cancer. So bioinformatics will tell me the exact what exactly happens inside my body. So now what happens in the medicine level, what happens is if you go for a fever, whoever goes for a fever, doctor will give Dolo 650 or paracetamol. In common. In future, doctors cannot give that because Dolo 650 may not work to my body or paracetamol may not work to your body. So basing on individual's body, doctor has to give medicine. So it might change from individual to individual. That is what we call bioinformatics. Now people are trying to combine the both artificial intelligence and bioinformatics. Now what happens? See, with regard to political science, basically what we do is we study the activities of the state. Being a public administration student, what I or you people study in public policy is that state frames the public policy and implements it in the society. Now, what happens is through artificial intelligence, you have a large amount of data available on individuals. It's like Aadhaar card. Everybody's data is available with the state. With bioinformatics, you have the complete inside data of the people. Now, in future, you cannot frame policies to the community as the government has done till now. Because you know that if you frame policies for the community and implement, it may not reach many of the individuals. Now, artificial intelligence will force you in future that the government has to frame policies keeping individual needs. Then you will say that it's a mammoth task because 140 crore population. If you want to frame policies for the individual, how can you do it? Answer is simple. Supercomputation. The missionaries will do the job for you. They will gather the data. They will analyze it. They will tell that in this ward, this fellow exists. This fellow has these problems. With regard to health, he has these problems. In future, another 3 years, he is going to get this disease. So everything will be available. So the art of governance, the art of policy making is going to change. It is going to change. Now, in another 10 to 20 minutes, let me talk about the future problems, which as political scientists, we need to think deeply about it. I'm trying to end my lecture by before 3:05, so that I'm damn sure you will be having questions. So, according to me, in future, that means in another 30 years or 40 years, we are going to face 3 major problems. So as political scientists, we need to concentrate on these 3 problems and these 3 aspects we need to study, because these will be the major 3 problems which state is going to handle in another 30 years. So what are those problems? The first problem is natural disaster management. In natural disaster management, I divide it into 2. One is climate change. Second one is pandemic. So climate change is one major issue because like things like tsunami, earthquake, rising of the sea level, melting of the snow mountains. These are the serious problems which our society is facing. Day before yesterday, you might have read the news that in Russia, there was an earthquake to the magnitude of 8.8. And some of the videos you saw, giant waves rising in the middle of the sea. So, how artificial intelligence and bioinformatics are going to help in this? Artificial intelligence clearly tells you where these kinds of earthquake are going to come, where the tsunami is going to come, at what time it is going to come. So when you know it before, you can prepare. Let me give you an example here. In 2007 or 8, there was a tsunami in Tamil Nadu and Orissa. We lost hundreds of people during that time because of tsunami. Now, there are artificial intelligence instruments installed inside the sea, which clearly tells us that it gives us a tsunami alert. It tells us when the tsunami is going to come. See, you might have seen in Japan or Russia, which happened almost 2 days back. People knew it, that the tsunami is going to come. How? It is because of the artificial intelligence. What the bioinformatics will do, so once the tsunami comes or earthquake comes, or there is a change in the sea level, or the snow mountains are melting, what kind of disease it's going to cause to the people? What will be the impact of it on the health of the people? That information will be given by the bioinformatics. That's why scientists are trying to club this artificial intelligence and bioinformatics. This is with regard to climate change. Now, the second is pandemic. We have seen the pandemic in 2019, 20, 21. We saw the pandemic, Corona, destroying the whole world, creating havoc across the world. Because this is a globalized world, because of the economic purpose, people will be moving from one place to one. Goods and services will be trading across the planet. So if a disease starts in a particular place, can easily move on to any part of the world. Earlier, it was difficult because there was no so much of transport, there was no so much of transaction happening between the people and goods and services. Now it happens. So we need to be careful about the pandemic. When I'm discussing about pandemic, there are two aspects to it. One is the internal aspect, another one is the external aspect. Internal aspect is when pandemics like Corona happens, there are three agencies, state agencies, which need to handle this kind of pandemic. What are they? One is the health department. Another one is the police department. Third one is the law.
ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಇವಾಗ ನೋಡ್ರಿ
ಸರ್ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಸರ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾರು ಹೊಂದ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಜಪ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕ್ ಸರ್ ಸರ್ ಏನ್ ಕಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರಿ ಸರ್ ಈಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರ ಅದು ಇನ್ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ ತಂಬಾಕಿ ಸರ್
Can I continue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is another problem with artificial intelligence. So here, as I was telling about, one is the health department. Another one is the police department. Third one is the local bodies. That means either corporations or panchayats. See, when a person gets infected with disease like Corona, which spreads fast. So now the major challenge for the health department is, what is the load of virus which exists in the person who is infected with Corona? First thing. Second thing is, if some people have come into contact with that person, whether they are also infected with the virus, how much load they have of that virus. This information will be given by bioinformatics. The second question is, those persons needs to be located in real-time basis, and they need to be controlled so that they will not spread that virus to other people, which needs to be taken care by the police department. How police department is going to get information, their location, where they are, where they moved, all this information will be given by artificial intelligence. Now the local body, like panchayat and all, it actually needs to coordinate, it actually needs to manage all these things, arrangements. So it requires both bioinformatics and artificial intelligence. Now the external aspect, when there is such pandemic exists, there are three things important. One is there will be many variants of this pandemic. So in which country, what variant exists? If people come into contact, what will be? It's the people, on my people. Like for example, if there is a variant in Britain, that variant, if the Indian gets impacted, what type of impact it will be? Because it changes from genes to genes, from body to body. So in order to recognize that, you need bioinformatics. Second, you need to give antidote. For antidote, you require information across the globe, like how people are infected, how the virus acts, and what will be the possible antidote to such virus. That will be given by artificial intelligence. Third thing is, when diseases like corona comes in, people cannot actively participate in the economic affairs. They cannot do trade and these things. But we cannot leave the economy also, because it's a question of the survival. So what happens is, artificial intelligence like robots and all will manage the economy during the pandemic time. So this is how the external aspect needs to be managed. Now the second question, or as I told you, three problems. The first problem is natural disaster management. The second problem is about security. There are two kinds of security. One is security of natural resources. Second one is national security. So with regard to security of resources, let me give you an example here. There is a group called Hayati. It's a terrorist group which exists in South Yemen. Few years back, what they did was, using drones and other missiles, they attacked a huge oil refinery existing in Saudi Arabia. The moment they attacked a huge oil refinery, the prices of oil, petrol, diesel, natural gas, started fluctuating across the world. So the resources which you have needs to be secure. That means you should have real-time data to see to it that who are the threats to these resources, what activities they are doing, if they are attacking, how they are attacking, and what countermeasures I need to take for it. That will be done by artificial intelligence. Second thing is, there are rare earth materials. So all the goods like mobile we use, and all the most of the electronic goods what we use today, they use rare earth materials. So in which country it is available, at what cost it is available, and how we need to have friendship with those countries needs to be managed in a real-time basis using artificial intelligence. Now, national security. To give you an example, recently we saw Operation Sindoor taking place. In Operation Sindoor, none of our soldiers crossed the Pakistani border, or the Pakistani soldiers did not cross the Indian border. But war went on for almost 3 days. It was managed in a room. Using the artificial intelligence, the missiles were guided, the drones were guided, and the enemy was attacked. Even the aeroplane which used, they also used artificial intelligence in order to launch the missiles. And they hit the specific target what they were asked to. Pakistan also sent drones. Pakistan also sent missiles using artificial intelligence. We countered that drones and the missiles using the artificial intelligence. So the future warfare will be managed by artificial intelligence. Being international, like countries like Israel, they do, but largely they don't manage borders using the soldiers. They manage it through artificial intelligence. So the future scope of warfare, the future scope of military equipments will be more based on artificial intelligence and bioinformatics. Finally, let me come to the third problem, that is called managing the virtual currency. See, today, for example, we have currency. Let me hold a currency here. So here is a currency, a 50 rupees currency. In currency, it is clearly written that the governor of the RBI is assuring the holder of this currency, that is me, that this note is worth 50 rupees. And any goods worth 50 rupees, I can purchase with this money. And when I purchase it, the tax amount goes to the government. And this is a legal tender. But in the virtual economy, like Bitcoin, see, this currency is controlled by RBI. And any transaction happens through banks or through phone, anything you do, there is an account for it. Then you are paying direct tax or indirect tax. Through that money, the government is run, and it runs various schemes. Now you have virtual currency like Bitcoin. Nobody knows who invented it, first thing. Second thing is there is no regulator. Like RBI, there is no regulator because it's available globally. And the transaction, if it happens between the two individuals using the Bitcoin, who is going to give guarantee to it? If it happens, how they are going to pay tax for the same? If there is no tax paid, if there is no account of the transaction taking place, then what will happen to the government? How it can survive economically? Now you might be saying, sir, you are talking about a hypothetical thing because Bitcoins is not a reality. Let me give you an example. The statistics I'm talking about 1 year back statistic, it says that in India, there are 10 lakh Bitcoin users. 10 lakh people are using in India. Which one? Bitcoin. You'll be surprised to know among the 10 lakh people, majority of them are housewives, not some technology technocrats. The housewives are using Bitcoin. So if this continues, sorry, we will have a rule for it. We will make a rule. Recently in the budget session, the last year budget, I think, Nirmala Sitharaman talked about Bitcoin. But Government of India did not specify any regulation with regard to Bitcoin because controlling Bitcoin is a Herculean task. Because it exists in the internet. It exists in videos. It exists in pictures, what we see. So how to regulate that economy? If you don't regulate it, the real economy will get collapsed. States will become bankrupt. That's why even the IMF is crying that we need to have a regulatory policy for Bitcoin. So being political scientists, we need to carefully study these challenges which is going to affect the subject of political science in another 20 to 30 years. Now, in the conclusion, I'm saying, I'm damn sure you will say that, sir, we oppose all this. We don't want artificial intelligence. We don't want bioinformatics. We are happy with what we are teaching. For your kind information, already the technology has impacted the society. Whether it has impacted or not, the mobile phone tells you. Mobile phone is a gift of artificial intelligence. So now the question is, the people who are inventing artificial intelligence and bioinformatics are the scientists. They are simply inventing it. They are not trying to look at what it impacts on the society, how it is going to impact the future of society. They are least bothered about it. They are bothered about inventing and making progress in artificial intelligence and bioinformatics. But being political scientists, we need to collaborate with them and see that we need to tell them, we need to collaborate with people, the IITians and the scientists who are working on it. We need to collaborate with them and tell them what its impact will be on the society, what its impact will be on the statecraft. So that in future, when the technological innovation happens, it will be a bit more responsible. Now, let me make it again and again clear, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, technology is going to impact. Already it has impacted. It is going to have an impact. Today, if we realize, today, if we decide that we are going to collaborate with them and work, then we are going to save our subject. We are going to give real-time contribution to the society. If we are least bothered, in another 20 to 30 years, what political science we are teaching, it will be out of the classrooms. We will be asked to retire, or otherwise we will be thrown out of the classrooms, and the robots or the fixed voice will be teaching in the classroom. I'm not threatening you, or I am not scaring you. Just I'm saying that before a disaster happens, let us prepare. Let us realize and let us collaborate and do research. With this, I end my lecture. Here again, I'm saying I'm not supporting all these things, or not, I'm criticizing this. I'm just telling what its impact will be on the subject of political science. With this, I end my lecture, and I'll be happy if you ask me question for another 10 to 15 minutes.